Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I did it again. I got to learn my lesson. I shared this computer audio with the YouTube video playing in the background, so I apologize, everybody.
Oh,
Hi,
no.
everyone. Welcome to the Moon at Noon. Thank you all for letting us know how things are going in apparently cloudy and snowy parts of the country, which is wild to me. It's not like that here. We are just having our leaves on our trees start coming out, which is lovely. It is cloudy here, and it's been cloudy for a couple days, and we will spoil the surprise. I don't think any of us got out observing last night.
I almost drew a cloud just to show what I saw, but
I caught the live stream from Astronomy by the Bay. Chris Kerwin's live stream had the moon last night, but I was on baby duty, so I didn't actually get out to see it beyond looking out the window. So I did see it, but I didn't observe it.
It's tough, and this is the hard part about doing an online observing program is everyone has different weather. So I noticed that Lori got out and did get to observe. Some people did, obviously Chris Kerwin, who, if you haven't seen his live streams, Astronomy by the Bay, they're excellent. He does live streams every night and occasionally live streams his view from his telescope. So 100% worth a follow. And Liverpool, Jamie and Liverpool got out last night to see the moon. So excellent. Thank you all for sharing whether or not you got out. We are all very jealous here. Today we're going to cover Q days -4, -3, which just so happened to be tonight and tomorrow because yesterday was Q day -5. So this is a couple days in a row of observing if you can do it, if you have the time, if you have the clear weather. If not, you can always come back and rewatch the video and see what there is to offer. So I just change things without telling anybody, and this is a fault I have, and it's definitely a fault that I've shown before. We're going to do sketching today. On the website, it says we're going to do craters, but today we're going to do sketching because people have asked for sketching. So we're going to, before we dive into some details on demonstrations on sketching, we're going to go over tonight's targets. Oh, and Samantha has a revelation.
Kind of a revelation. One thing I've been really struggling with understanding is why I can't see the moon in the sky every single night. For some reason, it didn't occur to me that just like the sun rises and sets, the moon also does the same thing. So I ended up just Googling. I'm like, when does the moon rise tonight? And I found, I'll share my screen, timeanddate.com has you just set in your location. Can we see it? And you can actually see the map of what time the moon rises and what time it sets and how high it is in the sky. And it clicked to me. It's that's why sometimes on my afternoon walk, I can see the moon in broad daylight. I didn't understand why I couldn't always see it in broad daylight, but I guess because sometimes it's just not in the sky. So yeah, so this is today in Waterloo, Ontario, 8:30 a.m. and it sets at 11:48 p.m. So if it wasn't rainy, it would be a perfect night probably to observe, but I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, so if anybody's interested, I'm sure there's a lot of other places, but I just Googled moon rise, moon set, and then put in my time. And this solved my issue of actually knowing when I can see the moon and when I can't, and not just hunting every single night.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Everyone has different tools that makes it click for them, right? John, what were you going to say?
I totally don't remember.
That's okay. We're all sleepy brain today. So I use Astrospheric, and Astrospheric has a similar visualization to the one that Samantha showed, but it layers the sun on top of it too, so you can see when the sun comes up and when the moon comes up together. So I recommend Astrospheric as a good option.
After a few weeks though, you just become moon aware.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens. And then I ask Siri, I'm like, hey Siri, what time's moonrise?
Judy Black says that she uses the app Photo Pills, which gives both sun and moonrise settings and the phase and the percent illumination as well. So there's all sorts of options out there. We do have an Insider's Guide episode that goes over a whole bunch of different tools for figuring out what's in the sky. But as John said, as you get used to it, the tools help you get started a lot of the time. But you end up just kind of knowing, like instinctually, from spending so much time paying attention. And getting to know what's up there.
And if you know the phase of the moon, you have a very rough idea, or you have a pretty good idea of when it's going to rise. So
after you get to know it, like you could memorize it in theory, but as you get to know it, then you start to remember it a little bit better. Also, Dave Chapman just said that becoming aware is the first step on the path to becoming a lunatic, which that tickles me. Okie dokie. So there is a question from Arnie about how to apply to the Explore the Moon certificate. We will get to that at the end. We're going to jump into the content of the session right now, which is going to be about tonight and tomorrow night's targets for Q day -4 and Q day -3. So I'm going to share my entire screen, which could go terribly for me, but hopefully it won't. I have so many windows and so many things to show. I'm going to close this one. We're going to start with the targets for this week, which are, here's Q day -4. So those targets are going to be Newcomb Crater, Macrobius, Torrentius, something along those lines, Mare Fecunditatis, Cook Crater, and Rita Valley. Of those, only a few are binocular targets. Only one is a binocular target, and that's Mare Fecunditatis. So if you're doing this with binoculars, the only thing you have to see tonight is that big Mare, which incidentally you can also see tomorrow night because it's this whole thing. So if you're doing binoculars, I would say just wait until tomorrow night to go observe instead of doing tonight's run. And
if you miss in the next 2 nights, you can always see it when the moon's full.
Yeah, any phase beyond this one, pretty much. Yeah. So it's an easy target for any point in time. And then tomorrow's targets, there's a few more craters. No Mare this time, no Maria this time. We have Hercules and Atlas up here, and then the Taurus Mountains, Pyrenees Mountains, and oh boy, Fracastorius and Piccolomini. Oh, the pronunciations though. Whew.
You're pretty good at the pronunciations though.
Doing my best.
You're at like Dave Chapman level pronunciation.
Oh yes, that's the dream. That's the dream.
That's what we measure everything against here.
Yeah. So the only of those, the binocular targets for tomorrow are Atlas and Hercules because they are so big, and Piccolomini down at the bottom. So that would be these two up here and Piccolomini. Let's take a look at them on the actual moon, maybe, because we have a couple of those. This one's tonight's moon specifically. So this again is taken from that moon phase website. We looked at this last week. This is the same one as we looked at last week. You can see we had, what was the one that we had on here? That Macrobius is one of them, right? Already forgotten.
Yeah, go back and
Macrobius.
Oh,
yeah, Macrobius.
Wait,
Yeah.
is Newcomb really on tonight's?
It's not. So you can see it starting to come into view here, but then if you look at oh boy, I have a hard time keeping these in order. I think it's this one.
So yeah, Newcomb and Cook were the most challenging ones for me, and it might be a function of I didn't start using a Barlow. That's what doubles your magnification until the night after I did those ones. So that was half my problem. So I really needed that 50 times magnification to see Newcomb. And then Cook, by the time I got around to it with higher magnification, it was washed out because Cook is, if you go down a little bit, it's in that it's in Mare. So it's not labeled on this one.
Okay, might be a next day sort of thing because there are a few that bleed into the next day after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see it, but I can't explain it. South of Mare.
Nectaris?
The one I'm not going to attempt to pronounce.
I can't. I'm going to look at the actual map that we have to find it. Cook, there it is. Okay, it's under Mare Fecunditatis and this extra little wobbly bit on the end of it, and this is on Q day 4.
Yeah.
So it might be on this one here.
So it gets pretty washed out.
Yeah.
It gets pretty washed out as soon as you get the Terminator moves over a few degrees. So
it looks really shallow. It's just like a little tiny baby lip to it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a cool one. But that's a tricky one to find.
So that was probably the hardest one for me.
Okay.
And
It's very
then
distinctive, at least. It's just shallow.
the Rita Valley or the Raida Valley, that one's also pretty challenging too. It gets washed out fairly quick, unlike compared to the Altai Scarp, which is a couple days later. It's much more challenging because this valley almost looks like just a couple craters, really, right?
Like it's this thing here, right?
Yeah. So that's pretty good. A pretty good
This is
view.
like
A lot
this
of
is
times the shadows just
Yeah.
are not as favorable.
So that one, this photo here is tonight at 2300 UT time. So that would be 7 o'clock our time,
Yeah.
Ontario time, 8 o'clock
It
John's
looks
time.
like tonight will be like the best night for that. As
Yeah,
you know,
it's
even
like-
tomorrow it might really blend in with those craters. So
Yeah,
I
this
know
is
in Halifax
tomorrow.
we've got about an hour until the clouds will come in tonight. It's
Mm.
supposed to get cloudy at about 9 or 10. So
Is it this thing here?
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in theory, you should be able to see it tomorrow night as well. But yeah, it's definitely not as distinctive.
I found it
Yeah,
difficult
and
to
then
even.
for
sorry.
Piccolomini, that one's actually easy to see later on because it ends the Altai Scarp ends there. So you'll see that big
that.
wall of
Okay.
and yeah, so the scarp a lot of the
this
time
thing
the
here?
scarp will reach out into, past the terminator into the shade outside and it'll be illuminated by the sun. And you
Is
can
this the
follow it.
scarp?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can follow it back to that crater there. So it's always kind of fun.
Okay, the Altai Scarp is not on our list of targets for today, nor do I know how to find it. Well, obviously, other than just now. And also, so John, you're saying this stuff, and I'm like, okay, sure.
I'm sorry.
no, it's good.
Just
Because
cool. I find it interesting.
is the Altai Scarp a target?
But it was probably the next week or the
Okay.
next day. Sorry. Yeah.
We'll take a look and we'll report back. It's a fairly distinctive crater, though. Like it's got a little central peak, and it kind of looks like Copernicus, but smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of nice. I have not been paying attention to the chat. I apologize for those of you who are talking in it.
Dave Chapman just mentioned about why Newcomb and Cook were actually on the list of targets. I think John was mentioning that to us earlier about Newcomb being actually Canadian.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Newcomb's named
Canadian
after
references?
Simon Newcomb, who is from Nova Scotia. And so Rask gets their Newcomb Award named after Simon Newcomb. So he was a Rask. I assume he was in Rask. I don't remember now if he was a
That's
Rask member and not just an astronomer, but I think he was a Rask member. Dave will certainly fill us in.
Mhm.
And then where was Cook again? I want to make sure we have Cook.
I forget the backstory behind Cook.
Cook's the washed out one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Dave mentioned Captain James Cook spent several years in Eastern Canada.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, right.
So the Atlantic Canada is really represented in this week's viewing.
Well, yeah, it's because Roy Bishop's from Atlantic Canada, and he structured the Explore the Moon program, or at least had a big influence on it. And
Dave did too, didn't he?
Yeah, Dave,
Oh.
Dave for sure. But
the bias is showing.
I think like Simon Newcomb is even from within a 30-minute drive of where Roy lives in the Annapolis Valley. So
that's cool. Well represented East Coast this time. Those are our targets for this week. Tonight, tomorrow night are the big nights, but you might be able to see, this is the night after. You might be able to see some of the is it? Let me zoom out so I can see. This is the night after. So things like Piccolomini, which is way down here, might be a little bit more visible the night after, but then a whole bunch of other targets that are also really cool that we will talk about later come into view. So this is a really good phase to look at, but it is not the phase that we're covering today.
We haven't talked about any mountains today though yet.
Oh yeah, talk about mountains. Let's find the Taurus Mountains, because I honestly get confused about this. What did you say the Taurus Mountains were? This area in here?
It's up higher.
Yeah, go to the next day.
Yeah, it's kind of around Newcomb is what we figured out.
Okay.
Well, they're between Sea of Crises and Sea of Serenity.
Oh, there, yeah.
Stuff in the middle, right? So that's where Apollo 17 landed.
Okay, so this is tricky because when you're looking at the moon so it's great to look at the moon on a Q day. This actually I think might be the same Q day that we're doing today. But on a Q day that shows only just like right where the Terminator is, but then you can't see things like, oh, it's between these two Mares. Like you can't see one of them. It's in the dark. So that part's tricky. Let's go with, above Mare Crisium.
It's actually right below Newcomb. If I know it's hard to find it, but that's right there.
Like through here?
Yeah. Because I'm looking on the photos we have online of the close-up version of the targets.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So it's
so
in
that
here.
was the last time that humans were on the moon, was Apollo 17. So they were right there.
Aww. Bye-bye, moon. So that goes over our targets for this week. If
Is there another mountain? I thought we had another mountain.
We had
The one
Rite of
that started
Valley.
with-
Oh, Rite of Valley. That was it. Yeah.
Which we drew. So we're gonna try some drawing today.
What about the Peony Mountains? Peony?
Peony Mountains? Are they today? I don't think they're today.
Pyrenees.
Oh, Pyrenees
Black.
Mountains.
Just Pyrenees.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm gonna reshare my screen because I don't want you to see me flail, or I want you to see me flail. Let's look for the Pyrenees Mountains.
Yeah, because they're right by Taurus.
Yeah, there we are. Yeah.
There you
I knew
go.
we had two mountain sets.
Yes. So that will be more on the second day. So there are these things, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
You got it.
Sweet. Okay. These are, I think these are a lot easier to find given that I found them within looking at it for a second. So
Well, they're right by Gutenberg, which is, you were talking about craters that aren't on the list that John thinks should be there.
Yeah, we're having a new segment. John has things you want to see on the moon. John's
Things you
bonus
should-
moon objects.
Yeah, things that should be targets but aren't. Yeah.
We were talking about Messier too.
Yeah, which is right up here. So I'm gonna cover the Pyrenees Mountains first, which are between Mare Fecunditatis and Mare Nectaris. And luckily you can see both of these Maria and see the mountains at the same time. So that makes these a little bit easier. So when you're looking at this, remember that you can only see really up to the Terminator, and you're looking for the two dark spots that are lowest on the moon. Like they're as far south as you can get, depending on your point of like what your telescope does to the image. Mare Crisium being at the top, furthest right. These are going to be the lowest in this particular day. And the mountains are going to be right between them. Hooray. Okay. Messier, another target, which we think should be on the list but isn't, is a really cool one. That's this little baby crater here. John, do you want to go into why it's cool?
Well, it's named for Charles Messier, comet hunter, came up with the Messier list, the 110 most famous stargazing targets. Anyway, this crater is cool because it's one of the few craters that were made from an impact that was shallow. So coming in at less than 5 degrees, because otherwise craters are round no matter what angle that the rock hits. And this one's sort of cool because you've got, actually, if you look close, you've got a double ray. So it's a double ray crater. It's a shallow impact crater. And we've got the two impact sites, although one of them might be a cave-in. So the crater, or the rock came in, dug a trench, and then the top trench caved in. That might be how that one on the left was formed.
That's cool.
I need to confirm that, but I think that might be one of the going theories as to how that shape came to be.
So we were originally going to talk about craters today, but we're going to be looking at craters this entire series. And we want to give you all the tools to draw this stuff if you want to draw this stuff. When we get into our crater episode, which will likely be next week instead, we'll just push it back a week. We're going to do demos, everyone's favorite thing, throwing bits of stuff into flour and cocoa to show how to make these ray systems, and you will be able to follow along if you so choose. We will have that next week. But today, also, other thing that I like about this, it looks like a comet, which is kind of cool. It's not, obviously, but it looks like one. It's got a little
what? I'm wondering if that's why they gave that one to Messier, because it looks like a comet.
Yeah.
He's a comet hunter.
He was a comet hunter, yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
So that's a super cute one. I really like that crater. Look for it, but it's not on the list. So, and now we're going to go to Samantha's iPad because Samantha is more technologically savvy than John and I put together. So we're going to do some sketching, and we want you to follow along with us if you would like to follow along with us. I'm going to go over some real quick basic tools to have. I have 2 hole pencils, neither of which are sketching pencils. If you have sketching pencils, use sketching pencils. Sketching pencils have a variety of lead hardnesses. So some appear darker and easier to draw with than others that appear lighter and like harder. these are not different. I'm pretty sure these are the same.
If you ever heard of like bring out your HB2 pencil or whatever, yeah, that is the lead hardness. So you get Bs and like B2.
You have 2B, 4B, 6B, 8B, all that stuff. And the Bs are hard. The Bs are softer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they leave more lead on the page. Yeah. And then the H's are harder and they leave less lead on the page, or by lead, we're talking graphite this time around, which means that they appear later.
And you can get these pencil sets from like the dollar store if you're really curious about going to get it, if the dollar store is open in your area. So
I'm going to go over this list of how to start sketching stuff. We'll upload this to the website as well. This is courtesy of Montreal Center. So shout out to Kareem who put this together, I believe, at Montreal Center. I'm going to use my words for those steps and then we'll put them up online so that you can see them as well. The number one step, which I have not done, and I don't think any of us have done, because we are all major league amateurs, is play with your pencils and see what they're like and get a feel for them. And so, yeah, that's a good first step. We're going to thank you, Samantha, for doing that right now. We are going to try sketching Newcomb because John pointed out that Newcomb is kind of a hard crater anyway. And this will get us really familiar with what it looks like. So Newcomb it is. Step one. Oh, sorry, 2 more tools that I will mention. Erasers. Very useful because everybody makes mistakes. The internet references. And then also having a bit of tissue paper or like Kleenex or toilet paper or something like that works really well for when you draw. When you draw and you want to smudge or like blend your pencil sketchy lines together. That helps with that. You can technically use your finger if you want to, but it gets your finger dirty. So it's, your call whether or not you want to have graphite on your fingertip.
Or just use whatever you can reach. I have a Sharpie because that's what I can reach from here.
Yes.
Yeah.
We encourage people, if you have a paper and a pencil or pen nearby, grab it and try to sketch a Newcomb with us right now.
Yes. Yeah. We'll give you an extra second to do that. John should do his own optional target list for Explore the Moon. He really should. John has a lot of strong opinions.
Entirely written in Sharpie.
We'll put out like a link to a Google Doc, and every week John will add new targets to it.
While you're all getting your resources to do this with us, if you so choose, we'll also say that, good tip from Judy, use Q-tips as well if you have Q-tips for smudging. We all have different goals and also different skill sets when we're sketching. Many of you may be way, way, way better than John and Samantha and I at this. That's awesome. If you want to turn it into a work of art, I still have, again, I showed this last time. Nope, it's gone. It's in here. That beautiful sketch from one of those visitors. Like, this is art. This is not the level of niceness you need to get your certificate. Technically speaking, you don't even need to sketch the objects to get your certificate. You can just write words about them. But if you want to sketch them, or if you want to remember them, or if you want to just practice and try to get better and like see what you can do, that's the level I'm at. John's at the level of like functionality, like let's get her done.
Sure. I think I'm a little bit above that. I think I've done well. I think I'm gonna leave this room and I'm gonna come back with one of my lunar drawings that's decent.
All right, you go. Samantha and I'll get started.
I'm gonna tell you, you all are going to view my first time ever sketching a crater on live YouTube Zoom. So
it's fine.
Everything's
we're all working together.
You guys give me a hard time about how bad my sketches are.
Oh,
these are mine.
Okay, John. Just like huge flex.
What?
Huge flex, just holding up a painting you've done.
It's good enough to be on Dave's wall, so.
All right.
Okay, let's get started.
Don't give me a hard time.
John, the expectations are now much higher for you.
Yeah.
So step one, let's give this a shot. We're going to frame the target. Samantha has already done that by having a circle on her page.
This is a circle for like what kind of looks like when you have a on the recording sheets.
On the recording sheets and like in your eyepiece as well. Yeah. So Samantha's using essentially this page here and these circles. So we've got our frame. Draw a circle if you haven't got one. And the first step is to outline the areas. And when I say outline, I mean outline the dark, the gray, and the light spots. Don't outline what you think the crater is, because then you'll draw a circle and it doesn't necessarily look like a circle. So outline the dark areas and the gray areas and the light areas and go from there. It's gonna be tough. All right, and I realized that it's also very hard to vamp and draw at the same time when you're bad at drawing.
This looks like, I don't know, a bug or a seed or some sort of cell right now.
Someone in the chat who, Marie-Claude, said that it looks like a diagonal pointing snowman or thought bubbles, which I agree. It does look like a diagonal pointing snowman and thought bubbles. It's kind of, yeah, actually, it has 3 little craters that make it look like a snowman. Samantha, who gave you the right to be this good at things?
I'm not good.
You're doing great.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
I am the thing about art, and I'm not good at art when I have to come up with something from my imagination. But when I can just draw what I see, I'm a little bit better.
That's fair. I am garbage. Well, I shouldn't be negative. Be nice to yourself. Be forgiving with yourself. When you're drawing these things. I framed the target and then I went ahead and didn't work within the frame. So we're doing
When
great.
we're done this, the big reveal to see what John and Jenna show.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can, if you have social media, you can post your drawing and do like #moon@noon and tag Rask in it.
Yeah. Follow us on social media. The other option too is we do have a Facebook group. And people do share photos and things like that in the Facebook group. So it's just Royal Astronomical Society of Canada group, and you can join that. It's a nice place to be. I'm going to say the next step, and then we'll answer Joanne's question. The next step after outlining areas is to fill in the darkest spots. So fill in the shadows in the crater, fill in the stuff that appears black in your eyepiece with heavy pencil lines. And shading if you'd like, or stippling if you want to, if you do that kind of level of art. I do not. Joanne asked what app you're using, Samantha.
I just answered in the chat, but it's Procreate. Okay. Unfortunately, it's only on iPad and it's paid. But if you're into using iPads and art, it's like the #1 app to get. The other one, if you have like a tablet, that's pretty good, is Autodesk Sketchbook, and that one's free. And that works on like Windows and stuff. I have less experience on that one though. I used to use it, but when I got an iPad, I switched over to this one. So this is just like what I'm doing right now is imitating smudging with your fingers. This is not really much fancy of what would actually. Everything I'm doing on here is something that I think everybody could do just with their own pencils. I'm not doing anything fancy that I can only do on my iPad. So
thank you.
I mean, the big challenge with sketching really is that you're doing it in the dark or under a red flashlight, or of course you're looking at the moon. So like if you're near your house, you can have porch lights on, or you can, one of the things I did is I hung the light on my iPhone over the side of the table and then sketched on my knee. So the iPhone light was illuminating the page. The other thing that really helps when you're using your telescope, it helps to be seated and not try to do this standing or something too. So one of the tricks that I did is I put the telescope tripod legs and had them one on each side of the picnic table bench. So I was able to sit on a picnic table at one point with the telescope sort of over the bench. And then I only had to move my head ever so slightly to get to the eyepiece.
That's a good idea.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, it's my one worry if I did this digitally, which I think I'm going to do more the old analog method, just because I don't want to have my night vision ruined or with the light of my tablet, iPad, right? So,
well, the bigger issue with the moon, because the moon's really bright, so the moon's going to kill your night vision. So it's almost, you need your night vision to see your paper as opposed to like seeing the stuff in space. It's sort of the opposite of regular sketching.
Interesting. I guess you could do it with the light on though, in theory, right? Like you could set up.
Yeah, because the lights aren't gonna, you almost want more light on your paper.
Yeah.
The moon's plenty bright.
Okay, the next step, which I have already jumped forward to, is coloring in the grays. So the gray spots, the trickiest part, I found this really hard with sketching the moon, is that there are bright white spots. I'm not an artist, but like drawing, you can't, if you're using an iPad, you can draw the white back in. Or if you have a really fine eraser, I guess you could erase the lightest spots, which I'm going to try to do now with the sharpest side of my eraser that I have. But it's just such a weird, odd little like thing that usually you're used to being. I don't know. You don't draw as much like bright spots and dark spots. I'm not good at it. So it takes some practice. Be easy on yourself. Be kind.
All right, let us know when our time's up, and then we'll do the big reveal. See how we
Use
do.
the side of your pencil to get it light.
Yeah, use the side of your pencil. Don't forget to try this like smudging with your pieces of paper, or tissue paper if you have it. I'm doing a terrible job. The last step of all of this, following coloring in the grays, is drawing the details on the crater. If you would like to draw details, you by all means can. I am as done as I care to be.
Almost done.
Okay, yours is looking great, Samantha.
I don't know. I guess I have to do more of these. This is the first time.
It takes practice, and honestly, hopefully, if you do plan on sketching, you'll see improvement over time.
Yeah.
Like your first sketch won't be great, and then the last one will be a literal work of art. I mean, they're all works of art.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Okay. I think I am about done my first masterpiece. Can I like sign it? There we go.
There you go. Look at that. It's beautiful.
Good
No,
call.
you
I'll sign this.
I've gotten used to signing all of my work.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
I will stop sharing so you guys
Okay.
can show yours. This is my first one, so
It's beautiful. Well done, Samantha.
try.
So technically, also, this doesn't count towards your observing certificate because
No.
we drew it off a picture, but still good job.
All right, Jenna.
Jenna's turn.
I drew all three little extra bubble craters.
Oh, I'm so good. I should draw the bubble craters.
Oh,
So I
Oh,
need
they're
to-
cute.
Very nice.
John, let's see yours.
All right, here's mine. So I did find a pencil.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's Newcomb with the shadow, and there's those two satellite craters.
Oh, we
And
forgot
the
John likes to
pencil
draw
shape
the like.
neighboring, the mare.
Oh,
And then-
nice.
Oh.
That looks really good. I really like the high
Roses.
contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Cool.
cool. And I guess, John, your technique is to also draw what's around it a little bit as well, not just the crater itself.
Well, the cool thing about the Sharpie is the shadows are, with the
They're
Sharpie, the
shadows.
shadows are black.
Yeah.
Black. And then use the pencil to give the, every other shade of gray.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. Alrighty. That takes us to our time. Honestly, I almost regret us saying this is only going to be a half hour because we always have fun every time.
We still have the Q&A about the observing certificate. We're going to answer at the end.
Yes, we are. The question was, throw this all away. What goes in the constellation section? And I presume that means when I'm going to grab my book. I think what they're referring to is probably, yes. So this workbook. I'm going to turn off my background. Actually, no, you can see it. This workbook, which is the Moon at Noon, the Explore the Moon workbook, has this for general observations. It's not necessarily just the moon. For constellation, you could put which constellation the moon is in if you wanted to. But since you're observing the moon, you don't technically have to. It's meant to be an option if you're observing, let's say if you were observing the Whirlpool galaxy, then you could, one of the only things I know which constellation it's in off the top of my head, you could put Ursa Major because it is in Ursa Major. In this case, if you wanted to include it for where the moon was, you could, but Dave just answered saying you do not need to. So that's not absolutely necessary. The only thing that you absolutely need is the date, the time, what you're observing with, what you saw, correct? John?
Yeah. So you want to have the details about your telescope. So what eyepiece you're using, and you can calculate the magnification as well. It's on there. Because I accidentally left that out on one of my lines and they had me go back and fill it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got those ones then. For optics, do I write in my telescope type? That's another question. I always have. So I have a Celestron Nexstar S6SE, so I put that in.
Or because effectively you want to record the focal length of the telescope. And you can if you know the type, then that would be included in the type. Yeah, most telescopes have the focal or the aperture in the name of the telescope too. So that,
or you can Google the name and say aperture, the name of your telescope and aperture, and probably it'll come up, I would guess. Is each night observing all recorded in one session, or does each target get recorded separately? I have always written in I've been really lazy. I try to fill this out. I just sketch in as much as I can while I'm out there. I'll put in my session at the top, fill all the rest of the targets out with just the drawings. I'll just put all the details in a single one, and then I'll go in and copy it in later. So all the nights in one set, or everything that you observe in one set in like one evening, is one session, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And hopefully that answers all of your questions. We will go over as we get to the end of this program. I know a lot of people, this is an interesting program because you can finish it really fast. You can finish it in 2 weeks if you want to. If you have enough clear nights and experience and ambition and lack of sleep and not enough to do and all that sort of, like you could get it done. We won't be getting it done, and we're spreading it out so that we can talk about lots of different stuff over a long period of time. So some of you will definitely be applying before we get to the end of the series where we will talk about the applications. And so if you do have those questions in more detail, if you do have those questions as we go along, we can answer them for you. And we will also do a more in-depth session at the end of the series too.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Okay. I think we can break for lunch.
Share those sketches with us. We want to see them.
Yeah.
Was there a hashtag? Do we hashtag moon at noon? Has anyone used that?
I haven't checked because I'm bad at this stuff. Let's do hashtag Rask Moon at Noon, because definitely no one's using that.
Yes.
So send us your sketches using hashtag Rask Moon at Noon. We'll put it on our page. John and Samantha and I will also try to do some sketches and share them. And as we move forward, we will soon have options for things like sharing this stuff in forums for Rask members. So
like that? Rask
that's perfect.
Yeah,
that's
perfect. And you can tag at Rask National, I think, on Instagram and others.
Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn now, I think. So tag us and show us what you're doing.
We're also on TikTok, if anybody's
wants to do any TikToks. I don't think any of the three of us here are personally on TikTok, but
no. But we do have someone running our TikTok who is good at TikTok.
Who knows what TikTok is and how to do it. Yeah.
Not us.
Not us. All right, we'll see you all next week when we're going to do some crater stuff, because craters are fun. So bring flour and cocoa powder, and some people say baking soda to like get the mixture right.
And if your kids are stuck home because of the school shutdowns in Ontario, get them coming and we can do some experiments.
Yeah. Also bring a garbage bag to put down on your floor so you don't get it covered in baking materials. Also, it smells amazing because it's basically just chocolate cake in your living room. All right, we'll see you all next week, and enjoy your observing tonight and tomorrow night. We will see you all next time.
Bye.
Clear skies.